Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us live at Sophie's Bar and Grill. For those of you at home, thank you for joining us as well for Triangle Center Spiritual Living Sunday Meditation. So today I'm going to do a reading from The Magic of the Soul by Patrick Harbala. We'll do a reading, and then there's a meditative exercise, and then some music, and then I'll bring us out of our meditation. So I invite you at this time to close your outer eyes and bring yourself to right where you are. Be here now. Allow yourself to relax, whether you're laying down or sitting. Settle in. The reading is The Still and Receptive Mind, about surrendering external conditions and leaning into internal truth. Imagine going through an entire day in a state of awe and wonder. Is it possible? What would it take? The term open-mindedness indicates such a magical state of being. We think of it in terms of being open to new or different ideas. I like to extend the definition of open-mindedness to include a mind that is not only receptive to other ideas, but to all that can be experienced in each moment. A mind that is open to the influence, the imagery, the whispering of the soul. A mind that is open to spiritual influences, guidance from angels or other spiritual beings. A mind that is open to the will of God, the creative principle blowing through the self like a calming breeze into the world of form. To live in a mental state of awe and wonder, we must still the analytical mind. We must tame and educate its nature to control and to dwell in the past and project into the future. Not that these tendencies are negative, they simply need to be appropriated to their place of greatest efficiency. We can condition ourselves to a clearer, more effective use of our mind. The road to accomplish this is practicing stillness. Most everyone is proficient at using their mind to solve problems, but the larger area of growth is the least developed skill, which involves the quiet mind. Once we achieve a degree of quiet and a receptivity of mind, it is like a door is open to the higher mind. When we can walk around with a clear mind, it is incredible how much more effectively it can be used. Intuition becomes easy as a space is created in the consciousness to receive more subtle mental impressions. There's less analytical activity using up the mental faculties. An image that has been helpful for me for the most efficient use of mental energy is capsulated in a poem that I wrote many years ago. It's titled The Fires of My Mind. The fires of my mind are not meant to be whisked about by the winds of the will of others, nor are they to be consumed by the flames of social thinking, nor are they to be doused by the waters of untamed emotions. They are to remain but a single flame held steady in the light of my soul, flickering only in harmony with divine purpose. Once we succeed at stilling the mind through meditation or surrender, the peace we experience is beyond description. Now, a meditative exercise for stilling the mind. Take 5 deep breaths. Fill your lungs completely. In through the nose for a count of 3, and out through the mouth for a count of 4. Noticing the space, the stillness between breaths. Exhale until there is no air left. Watch your breath. With each breath, feel yourself becoming more relaxed, cleansed, purified. Now take a deep breath and hold it. Tighten your jaw muscles. Raise your eyes to the top of your head and then release your breath. Relax your eyes and facial muscles. Become aware of a tingling sensation at the top of your head. Imagine a golden yellow light is causing the tingling sensation. Feel it move downward through your scalp and forehead. Everywhere it goes, it brings a relaxing and healing sensation. Feel it soothing the tiny muscles in around your eyes, behind your eyes, deep into the cells of your brain. Feel it spreading through your facial muscles, your jaws, the top of your neck and front and back. Feel it flowing through all the tiny muscles in your neck and down through your shoulders as they go limp. It continues down through your upper arms, your elbows, your forearms, wrists, hands, and fingers. The tingling sensation continues through your chest and upper back, deep into your muscle tissue. The light tingles as it cleanses your bronchial tubes, lungs, and heart. It flows downward through your solar plexus, cleansing your pancreas, liver, spleen, the muscles in your stomach and back. The tingling light massages your kidneys, moves downward through your buttocks, your abdomen, your intestines, your genitals. The flow streams into your upper legs, deep into the muscles, through the knee joints, your calves, ankles, feet, and toes. You have now reached complete physical relaxation. Feel your awareness become lighter than the element of the earth of your body. A wave of calmness flows through your emotional nature. All of your feelings become more and more calm until you reach a point of complete emotional tranquility. Just like a completely motionless woodland pool of water with a surface as smooth as glass. Feel your awareness become lighter than the water of your emotions. A breeze of peace flows through your mental nature. Your mental processes begin to move slower and slower and slower still. More and more clear and receptive until you reach a point of complete mental stillness. Like a still candle flame held steady in the light of your soul. Now feel your awareness become lighter than the fire of your mind. Feel your awareness become as light as the air of your spirit. Lighter than earth, lighter than water, lighter than fire. Your awareness is as light and expansive as air. It continues to become lighter, thinner. Your awareness is now lighter than air. No body, no feeling, no thought, no being. Nothing. So as we bring our awareness back into our earth bodies, feel the sensation of the heaviness of the body as opposed to where we just were. I invite us all to consciously practice this coming week, excuse me, and surrendering external conditions, surrendering what it is that we see with our eyes, and just knowing the truth of our stillness within. that it's always available as close as our breath. So in traffic or holiday preparations or lines or just the orneriness of some people sometimes, to just turn away from that as not the truth, just a condition. To turn within and remember our peace and our stillness and the vastness of that. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We look forward to seeing you for service at 10:45. Thank you.
loving, everywhere at all times, fully present, ready, willing, and able to support us, guide us, guard us, and unconditionally love us. We believe that this power and presence is that which created everything, everything that we can see and everything that we cannot see. And because we were created in its image and likeness, we too have this ability to create. And in fact, we use it each and every single day. Whether we use it consciously or unconsciously, we are creating the experiences of our lives. So that's the really good news, because if you love what you're experiencing, then you can continue to create the way you have been. If you do not like your experience of life, then you can change your thinking, change your beliefs, and therefore change your life. And so we gather together to support each other on our spiritual path, to recognize and hold and know the truth for each other of really who we really and truly are. And so, again, I'm very, very grateful that you have chosen to join us today. Lots of new faces in the room today, and hopefully a lot of new faces online also. So grateful for this technology, which allows us to do both. So grateful for Heather Abbott, who makes that happen each and every single week, and also to Ava, knowing that without this AV team, we could not do what it is that we do every year. I would like to take a moment to thank Michelle Love for her beautiful meditation that expanded the container in which our service will unfold within. Thank you so very much, Michelle. And speaking of Michelle, I would love to invite her back up to the pulpit. Please welcome Michelle Love.
Thank you, Dusty. Good morning, everyone. Now we're filling up. I love it. Thanks for being here. Our theme for the month of December is Journey of Becoming, and Reverend Dusty's talk title today is Surrender is Action. And we have a flower dedication today. Today, the flower dedication is for John Carnes from the TCSL community. We thought we would start off this month of special holiday services by acknowledging one of our most devoted volunteers, John Carnes. It seemed appropriate since John is a living embodiment of the spirit of Christmas. He is so generous with his time, talent, and treasure. For years, he has entertained us through his fabulous hosting of bingo nights, and he is always an eager participant in game nights and other community events. He contributes his other talents as well, such as providing woodworking and other skills when needed. He gladly opens his wallet for any TCSL fundraising request, especially those involving families. For a long time, he was one of the backbones of the TCSL Sunday School program, always ready to play a game or to give a piggyback ride along with a spiritual lesson. We could count on him to provide something really tasty for our community potlucks and to provide behind-the-scenes labor for our barbecues. During our bad times, John is always able to lighten things up with a joke or a heartfelt bear hug and celebrate enthusiastically with us during our good times. More than anything else, John simply exudes joy. And isn't that what the world needs right now? More joy. Best of all, John surpasses Santa Claus because unlike the man in red, he's here for 365 days a year. John, we thank you for your service and we love you for who you are. Yes. And I am now going to read this community's purpose statement. This is our reason for being here. Our purpose is to inspire, educate, and empower individuals to experience themselves as unique and individualized expressions of God, the love intelligence that governs the universe. We are committed to not merely a theoretical understanding of our oneness and unity with God, but to consciously practice this truth in our everyday lives. Through celebration, service, study, and fellowship, we are committed to the transformation of our personal lives and to being a powerful and beneficial presence on the planet. With the energy of unconditional love, simply, we are here for God. And so it is. So now I would like to invite you to close your outer eyes. And we'll have a centering exercise, a short meditation, so that we can really fully arrive here where we are now. Please turn within, open your heart and mind, and allow the healing sounds of the crystal bowls to simply wash over you.
Please come back into your body. Hello, everyone. My name is Carol Cross. I'm another practitioner here at TCSL, and I am so happy to be here today. I love being the practitioner for the first service of the month because it's new themes and new energy, and especially this month, it has so many different things to celebrate. And we'll be hearing more about those later, but welcome to our month of holy days. So I'm going to begin by asking two of our other most devoted volunteers, Susan Krupa and Rebecca Faust, to come up here and assist me with the blessing of all faiths. So the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living honors the diversity and threads of truth that run through all paths, as represented by this ceremony. Christianity is the path of Christ consciousness, love, and forgiveness. Buddhism is the path of compassion and understanding. Judaism is the ethical path of living by sacred law. Baha'i is the path of unity and peace. Islam is the path of submission to the will of God, the highest calling. Confucianism is the path of deliberate tradition. Taoism is the natural way, the path of ultimate reality. Native American practice and shamanic traditions are the paths of primal spirituality. Shintoism is the path of tribal ancestry. Hinduism is the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Science of mind and spirit is the path of the divine principle of love and law. And the heart represents the one heart, the one love that resides at the center of all people and all beings everywhere, with no exception. May peace prevail on earth through the followers of all paths. And so it is. Thank you, ladies, so much. So now I would like you to close your outer eyes as I say an invocation on today's service. And closing my eyes, I see that holy light that is the core of who and what I am. And it is shining. It is shining out, and it is connecting with all the other holy lights in this room and over our technology and just in our world everywhere. And this is, I know, to be true. I know that each and every person, animal, thought, energy wave, plant, that their substance is holy. And I celebrate that substance in me, in you, in every one of us. Because that presence is divine. It is unconditional love. It is unceasing peace. It is overflowing joy. It is power and wisdom and abundance and all good things. And so I celebrate that in me and in you and in all of us. I'm so grateful for our time together today. So grateful for Desi and all the crew at Sophie's Bar and Grill who support us in so many ways. So grateful for Heather, who magically makes these electrons, go out into the world so that our peace and our love are vibrating everywhere. So grateful for Michelle for beautiful meditation about stillness and her work here at the podium. So grateful for Sandy. Such a huge heart, such an incredible gift, and such a master musician who helps to water the soil of our hearts, into which our blessed Miss Dusty will plant today's seed of truth, knowing that it will grow within each and every one of us as is perfect for our individual circumstances and situation. And most of all, I say thank you to everyone who is here at Sophie's, for everyone who's listening live at home or at somebody else's home or wherever you are, everyone who will see this in the future, because God is not stuck in time and place. And I thank you all for being part of the co-creation of this service. It is your energy and your consciousness and your commitment that helps bring this service to its ultimate maximum magnificent state. So I am so excited. I can't wait to begin. So I want to just turn this over to that universe of law that always says yes, knowing its divine unfoldment, and ask you to affirm this for us all with our words, and so it is. All right. So the reading for today is from Nancy Collier, and she says, "The moment of surrender is easy. It happens when it's ready. Control falls away and takes us with it. It's the path to surrender that's excruciating. But what's amazing is that when surrender does arrive, it's accompanied by a great sense of ease, relief, and peace. It's not like the situation remarkably gets easier or better, but we feel better and more easeful when we know in our bones that we cannot fix or figure it out, when we know that it's truly not up to us, and we simply can't. In this moment of surrender or grateful defeat, there's clarity. And oddly, something deep within us relaxes when we acknowledge that we don't know how to do it, don't know the way. More effort, more doing, more thinking, more plans won't work. We feel an inner softening when we agree to turn it over to anything else, whatever is not us, the unknowable, or perhaps to just the truth of not knowing. From our knees, paradoxically, we feel a remission from the suffering. As much as we are conditioned to never give up, in the case of surrender, giving up the mistaken belief that we are in charge offers a profound relief. And so it is. All right, so I can't wait to hear what Dusty's going to do with that. Except before that, our wonderful appetizer is going to be delivered by our beloved Sandy Hemingway. So, Sandy, thank you for being here.
You're very welcome. Good morning, everyone. When I saw the Top Docket, I immediately thought of this song. It's a song by a woman named Susie Hulcher, who's a virtuoso bass player, but who wrote this song a number of years ago, and I played it many times, and it never ceases to resonate with me. It's called Allowing. It's all about allowing peace within, absolute surrender, so serenity begins. When the storms subsided, calm becomes the way. It's all about allowing me to stay. It's all about allowing love to flow, setting down your burden and just simply letting go. As you cease the struggle, love pours through your heart. It's all about allowing it to start. Now feeling warm and shining.
Thank you so very much, Sandy. That was absolutely beautiful. And the right and perfect song, as always, for today. In fact, I kind of feel like between the reading and Sandy's song that we, could probably just go home. But I did spend a little bit of time. What do you mean, clapping? Oh, my gosh. I did spend a little bit of time this week working on this, and I think it's I might be able to fill in some blanks or say something that hits somebody in some way that makes it all worthwhile. So I appreciate. Oh, I love that. I love that. Sandy's allowing me to speak. So surrender. Surrender is action. Now there's many different definitions. As always, the English language is, crazy in that way. There's many different definitions for the word surrender, and most of them have to do with yielding to the power or the control or the possession of another person. That it means to give up completely or to agree to forego our own power in favor of somebody else's power. Now, in my mind's eye, I see a white flag being hoisted over a battlefield, or perhaps the Wicked Witch of the East riding on her broom across the night sky in front of the moon, proclaiming, "Surrender, Dorothy." Surrender in current colloquial language equals failure. So some people might be squirming in their seats even now, just after Sandy's song encouraging us to surrender, knowing I'm going to encourage us to surrender. But in current colloquial language, it equals failure. According to the Oxford Dictionary, surrender means to stop resisting an opponent or an enemy and submit to their authority. Or if you take it even further, it means to give up or to hand over a person or a right or a possession. Surrender is a word that is cloaked in negative connotations. And for many of us, it is a word that leaves a bad taste in our mouth. It speaks of weakness and cowardice and of giving up or giving away our power and letting go of the control of a situation or of our lives. For many of us, surrender means that we have no more will to fight, or we lack in courage, or we lack in strength. For many of us, surrender is never a possibility to consider. I mean, really, what self-respecting or self-reliant person would ever choose to surrender? Many of us have great resistance to doing it and a lot of regret when we do. But surrendering isn't necessarily about giving up or giving way or weakness or passivity. It's not necessarily an act of resignation or of conceding, but it's actually an act of opening ourselves up to receptivity, opening ourselves up to the flow of life. Sometimes we have to give up power in order to gain power. The truth is that while it can mean to give up or to give away, it can also mean to give way. To give way to something that is greater than we are. For me, this is not about weakness or cowardice, but it's more about having faith in things unseen and having the strength to step into the unknown. Really, it can be, surrender can be as brave and as bold as any victory. For me, surrender is allowing. Sandy and I and the songwriter agree on that point. It is about allowing. By giving way to a power and a presence that is greater than we are, we allow the flow of life to flow through us unimpeded by our inner resistance. It can simply mean to stop fighting or to stop resisting the flow of life. It can simply mean letting go of that which no longer supports us, of that which no longer serves us, of that which is no longer in alignment with the truth of who we are. I have 3 ideas to share this morning about this idea of surrender, and the first is about control. Control is defined as the power to influence or direct people's behavior or the course of events. To exercise authoritative or dominating influence over someone or something. Without realizing it, right? So not making anybody wrong, but without realizing it, we constantly are living our lives trying to control and manipulate everything. I mean, everything. Wanting the world to be in accordance with our likes and dislikes. We are happy when it does, and we're frustrated when it does not. You know what I'm talking about? However, the underlying truth is that the universe has been here for, 13.8 billion years. And what manifests in front of us at any given moment is nothing short of extraordinary. The planets stay in orbit. The sun rises and sets each and every single day without fail. Small, little, tiny seeds grow into giant trees. And one single fertilized cell grows into a beautiful baby. Truly magnificent. Truly extraordinary. And all of this happens without our input. And yet each of us has believed at a time or 2 or 3 or 4 in our lives that things should be the way that we want them to be, instead of being the natural result of all of the forces of creation. Without realizing it, we do this with everything in our lives, and yet life rarely unfolds exactly the way we want it to. Our minds try to control everything that they come in contact with. It's their nature. It's okay. It's their nature. Perhaps it's simply trying to keep us safe or to make us happy or to make our lives better. We have elaborate and endless strategies for trying to make sure that our lives contain the experiences that we want them to contain, and to not have the experiences that we don't want to experience. Our minds will fight with, or ignore, or reject, or push up against anything that we do not want. The truth is that we have a lot of shoulds in our lives. That this should happen, or that should happen, or that this situation should unfold in some particular way, or that these people over here should behave the way we want them to. While there are some things that we can control, such as our own thoughts or our own actions or our own reactions, most of the things that we have shoulds about, we have absolutely no control over. We can't control most of life, so why don't we just stop trying and just enjoy the ride? What a novel thought. Surrender is not giving up on life, but giving up on fighting with life. And when we're not fighting with it, then in actuality we're working with it. Any really great surfer would tell you that you have to work with the waves and not against them. when we're able to stop wallowing in the unfairness of life and all of the shoulds that never come to be, then our minds are free from the rumination that actually takes us down that path of suffering. You know, the Buddhists say that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. We have a choice in our suffering. We could be allowing, as Sandy's saying. At the very least, the invitation is to think about surrendering our white-knuckled need for control, surrendering our shoulds, surrendering living our lives fighting what is, surrendering saying my way or the highway. Grant Faulkner says, surrender creates intimacy and expansiveness at the same time. It sparks curiosity and exploration. We give up trying to change and control things. The rigidities of expectations, desires, and aspirations melt away. Surrender happens when we know that we don't know. Again, like totally in alignment with Sandy's song. It happens when we know that we don't know. It arrives when we know that we cannot think or see our way through whatever situation that we happen to be experiencing in the moment. We don't have all the answers. In true surrendering, we do not know if what is to come will be better or worse. We do not know if it will be more comfortable or more awful. All we know is that we cannot continue to do it this way. We cannot continue to do it the way that we have been doing it. And I'm talking individually or collectively. We cannot continue to do it this way, not one more moment longer. This is the moment that we realize we cannot keep fighting, either because it's too painful or that because we finally know at some deep level within us that it's futile and that some other, as of yet unknown, path is needed to be walked, is needed to be allowed. Surrender begins here where all other strategies end. But surrender is not a strategy. In fact, surrender is the profound absence of strategy. It's waking up to realize that all of the strategies that we have used in the past have failed, and that now we have to open ourselves up to a new way of being in the world. We have to allow ourselves to try something different, to allow, to surrender. By surrendering to whatever is unfolding and by accepting what is, by giving up on the outcome and allowing life to flow the way that it's meant to, by stepping out of our own way and letting the natural order of things take the lead, we not only get a break from the exhaustion of trying to control everything, but we actually get to experience life instead of what we think life should be. Which, by the way, is infinitely better than anything we could ever think up, anything that we could ever imagine. The second idea, my second idea today, is to remind ourselves that surrender is not a failure or defeat. It's not giving up or giving in. It's not a punishment or a bad thing. In reality, surrender is one of the strongest things that we could ever do in this world. It takes strength to admit that we are weak, bravery to be vulnerable, and courage to ask for assistance. It's not a one-time process. It's not we just do it once and then move on. It's a way of being in the world. a way of being that is powerful, however, not always easy to do or to be. It often shows up as taking one step forward and 2 steps back. We often revert back to old ways of thinking, negative ways of thinking in general, or negative ways about thinking about surrender specifically. We often revert back to questioning the fairness or the goodness or the logic of the present moment. And that kind of thinking can be critical, can be crippling. I bet there's many people listening today here at Sophie's or out in electronic land that can remember many times when our stinking thinking has our energy level or our vibrational level swirling the drain. It can be crippling. We have to remind ourselves and each other that surrender is not giving up on life, but simply giving up on fighting with life. Surrender isn't something that our minds can accomplish, but is something that with awareness we can invite into our lives. When we have no other choice but to surrender the illusion of control, we can experience the present moment and the gift that it truly is. The bottom line is that when we accept what life gives us, when we surrender, we avoid creating all of the negativity that rejection entails. And a sense of joy moves into the void. And when we have that joy, we are more likely to experience the outcome or more likely to achieve the end that we seek. Or better yet, we find peace. We find a peace that passes all understanding, a peace that we've never known before in the journey itself, regardless of the destination or the outcome. In surrender, we do not disrupt our own peace, and from that place of peace, we can affect change. Change in our own lives and change in the world. Every one of us, at some point or another, encounters a situation that rocks our foundation of who we are and what we think we can bear. Something that pushes us past our limits. Sometimes it's a situation that we've lived with for a very long period of time, and sometimes it's a situation that presents itself all of a sudden. An event that just happens, that overwhelms us, and for which our usual go-to coping strategies are useless. While the content may differ, the experiences share the ability to be able to bring us to our knees, figuratively and literally. What these experiences share is that they have the power to change us. The power to change us, and it all starts with surrender. In A Return to Love, Marianne Williamson says, "Until your knees finally hit the floor, you're just playing at life. And on some level, you're scared because you know you're just playing. The moment of surrender is not when life is over, it's when it begins." It's when it begins. My third idea today is to live from faith and to know that we are surrendering to our own divinity within us, to our essential nature. When we surrender to the power and presence of divine love that is within us, anything is possible. When we listen for and surrender to our inner guidance, everything that we need, we receive. Anything that we need shows up. Following it with faith, instead of questioning it or resisting it, moves us to powerful and healing action. Surrendering further, we let go of all sense of separation and enter into a state of conscious union. No practice is more powerful or profound. When we surrender, we begin to get a sense that we are part of a larger whole, that we are not alone, that we are connected to everything and everyone around us. We learn to listen for and to the voice of God within us. We begin to see all of the experiences of our lives through our spiritual lives, which allows us to see the blessings in all of them, those that we would call good and those that we would call bad. Kristen Jorgen, in her book Growing Wings, says you can't fake authentic surrender, for it is the moment you unclench your hands, accept what is, and finally let go, that the fertile space is provided for divine intervention and unimaginable possibilities. Whew. Gives me goosebumps. When we can experience the presence of something larger and unknowable, we can experience ourselves flowing down the river that life is, the river that we are actually a part of. Then, having tasted that sweet surrender, we can relax and trust and really know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it is safe to let go. Surrender is a true gift. When we finally acknowledge that we can't control everything, when we really know that we can't control anything, we give ourselves the opportunity to feel the flow of life carrying us, taking us where we need to go, even though we might not know exactly where that is in the moment. We can feel that we're being supported. We can feel that we're being carried. Often when surrender happens, we don't trust. We don't trust that we will be taken care of. We don't trust that we will be carried. We don't trust that we will be shown the way. And that is what makes surrender so unthinkable. We don't trust. But when we finally do, and we finally let go of the reins, the most remarkable opportunity appears. We directly experience being supported by a larger source of wisdom, what some people might call grace. We feel that moment. We have an experience of grace entering in that moment of surrender. And this experience, once experienced, can never be not known. We will always know that feeling. And we can lean into that in those moments when we find it hard for us to trust. As I thought about the entire title of my message this morning, Surrender is Action, I was aware that many people think about surrender as a passive state of submission. Now, I wondered, what if we were to instead think about it as an active choice? As an active choice. If we did that, could we and the situation be transformed? What would change? What would change in us? What would change in our relationships? What would change in our life if we allowed ourselves to surrender in a conversation? What if we committed to listening to someone else's words and allow their words and their spirit to rise up instead of focusing on our own words, on our own needs? What would change? What if we decided not to win the next argument that we're in? What if we decided and chose to actively and consciously surrender to love? To choose love over being right. To choose love over defensiveness or making a point. What would change? What would change in us? What would change in our relationships? What would change in our lives? If we made that conscious choice, if we took that action. As an action verb, surrender becomes a radical, transformative act. As an action verb, surrender creates new ways of being in the world. And new ways of being can transform our own lives and the lives of those around us in really wonderful and powerful ways. As we look out into the world today, it might actually be true that something is happening somewhere that is not fair. It might actually be true that something is happening somewhere that is not right. Not only in our own thoughts and beliefs, but to the collective sensibility of the entire world. And so we rail against that thing. Okay, that might be true, and it might be what we feel we need to rail about. But the question is, where can we go from there? Where can we go from here? Railing only begets more railing. Fighting only begets more fighting. Surrender, on the other hand, is saying yes. Yes, I accept that this is a terrible situation. Yes, I accept that this is happening and it's not right, and the way I can make it better is ... This is how surrender becomes the key to taking positive action. This is how surrender frees up so many of the negative emotions that we actually strengthen by opposing reality. We're not saying that what is happening is okay, but we are accepting that it is happening. We're not trying to control or manipulate it, but we're saying that it is happening, and that will allow us to move on to do something about it, rather than staying stuck in our railing and fighting. This is how surrendering, far from waving that white flag, becomes the ultimate tool for empowerment and positive action. Llewellyn Vaughan Lee, in his book Spiritual Power, says, the inner surrender of love's servant. I love that. The inner surrender of love's servant has a quality that is not passive, but is a dynamic participation with the unknown. A dynamic participation with the unknown. We surrender to a reality we cannot understand and are trained to stand in the midst of the emptiness and be available for love's work. Beautiful. Sign me up for that. To practice, we simply surrender to what is, right here and right now. And when we do, we're able to fully experience what we are sensing and feeling and living in the moment. We still feel it. We're not denying it. We're not saying that it doesn't exist. When we surrender to what is, we agree to feel life as it is now, without our minds adding to or taking away or manipulating or doing anything whatsoever with it. The invitation is to simply lean into the courage and faith and with faith trust in the divinity that is within us, that unknown that we're going to be working with when we surrender. And when we do, we have the power to change anything and everything. While this might feel passive, the truth is that surrender is action. A really powerful and sacred action. And so it is. Thank you. So I invite us to turn within, to allow ourselves to close our outer eyes and get quiet, to open our hearts and minds to a new way of being in the world, to open our hearts and minds to a prayer that invites us to do it a different way, to stop our railing and our fighting, and find a way to surrender to life. And so with my eyes closed, I recognize that power and presence within me. I feel its presence. I feel the peace and the love and the wisdom and the divine right action that it is. And I know that it's not only in me, I know that it is in each and every single sentient being on the planet. That includes everyone here at Sophie's, everyone at home this morning, everyone that listens at some alternative time. We are all divine emanations of the divine, ambassadors of its presence on the planet. And it is from that place of unity that I speak these words about and for each of us today, truly knowing that there is a way that we can live our life connected to the power and presence that created everything, to the power and presence that keeps those planets in orbit, that allows the sun to rise and set each and every single day without fail, that created the acorn that has housed within it the ability to become that giant oak tree, and the amazing gift that a tiny fertilized cell can become a baby, beautiful baby human being. I know that I am one with this presence, that each of us is, that we have within us that which knows how to live our life from surrender, that we have within us how to live our lives from grace, that knows how to live our life from love. And so I claim ease and grace for us around listening for and to that inner wisdom that is always ready, willing, and able to download to us the highest and best for all concerned, that is ready, willing, and able to support us, to guide us, to guard us, to bring into our lives everything that we need to create the life of our dreams. And the ability to surrender and allow it to happen. I'm so grateful to know this truth, so grateful to speak these words, so grateful for the power of prayer, knowing that these words are loosed into a law that only ever says yes. And so I speak them and I release them into that law with love and gratitude and full expectation of their manifestation, letting go and letting God be God. And I invite everyone to anchor this prayer for ourselves, for each other, for our community, and for the world, simply by saying, and so it is. Amen. Amen. Thank you, everyone. It is now time for our conscious giving. The Triangle Center for Spiritual Living is sustained by the giving of our time, talent, and treasure. This is a time every week when we offer financial support to assist this community to continue to be a beacon of light and love for ourselves and others. Together we affirm that today's offering lifts this spiritual community, prospers the one giving, and contributes to the experience of sufficiency in the world. There are several ways that you can give. Visit our website at www.trianglecsl.org. Up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a button that says Give. You can also text the word Give to 919-230-8445, or you can send a check, an old way, old school, to our office. Our new office address is PO Box 4062, Cary, North Carolina, 27519. So I invite everyone to place your gift on your heart or simply your hand with an intention for our community. And let's say our offering affirmation in call and response. I live in an abundant universe that blesses and prospers my life. Prospers my life. I give with gratitude, knowing that God is my source. And so it is. And so it is. Thank you all so very, very much for your gifts. And now please welcome back to his piano the amazing, the magnificent Sandy Hemingway.
You to surrender to the music and let it take you where it wants to take you. Thank you. Thank you.
Between the Thanksgiving concert and today's service, you're really ending your time with us this year on a really high note. Thank you for your gifts. And in case you didn't know, Sandy released an album this year called 95 Seconds of Normal, which would make a great gift for yourself or others. So, and speaking of gifts, we are a action-oriented church, not a sit-around-and-listen church. So I am sure we are all going to be practicing surrender this week. And if you would like some prayer support in that regard, we've got this A-team of practitioners and ministers who would love to pray with you. So you can go to our website, trianglecsl.com, or just, contact any of us and let us know what you would like us to pray for you, and we will do so. Then, also speaking of gifts, if you've got somebody on your list who's that person who has everything, how about giving them a shout out through a TCSL flower dedication? For a nominal fee, you can tell the world about some magnificent person or animal or event or activity or whatever in your life. So contact Dusty at Dusty Rippelmeyer at yahoo.com or Heather at info@trianglecsl.org if you would like to make that happen. Okay, we are also a church that likes to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. So our Wednesday services are all going to be devoted to exploring the holy days of this month of as many of those religions up there in our blessings of faith as possible. So we started off last week with Susan Robinson and the beautiful tradition of Hanukkah. This coming Wednesday, we're going to do the Buddhist tradition of Bodhi Day, which is believed to be the day when the Buddha achieved enlightenment. The Wednesday after that, which is December 15th, we are doing a Hindu holiday called Pancha Ganapati, which celebrates Lord Ganesha, the elephant-headed god, who is the god of new beginnings. So that's going to be a really fun one. On December 22nd, we are doing the pagan holiday of solstice, and that is always a very serene and soulful ceremony. And then on December 29th, we are doing Kwanzaa, which is based on African harvest traditions. And again, it's a great way to start off your new year. Then in addition to all those Wednesday services, we are going to have our annual Christmas Eve service on Friday, December 24th, and our annual New Year's Eve service on Friday, December 31st. So both of those will be on YouTube and Facebook Live and will begin at 7 o'clock. And then we also have a wonderful tradition of our New Year's Day visioning and vision board process. That will be held online, I guess, right? Live at the Crossroads. Right. That's. So you can do it. You can do it by Zoom, or you can come to the lodge at Crossroads and participate in person. But you need to contact Heather at info@trianglecsl.org to save your spot for that. So we hope we have so many of you celebrating with us in all these different ways. All right, now it's time for our December affirmation. So call and response, everybody get up, and let's belt this out together because it's all about our energy. As the year comes to an end, I welcome the new year with a beginner's mind. I approach it with awe, wonder, expectancy, excitement, and longing for growth. I engage that same energy to my outer experience of life itself. In this moment, I choose to no longer be held down by my past. Limiting beliefs and old paradigms no longer have power over me. Through surrender, I create space for a new way of being in the world. I sit in the stillness of the season, joyfully awaiting the revelation of the divine. The Spirit within me makes all things new. I rejoice in the journey of becoming. And so it is. So if you could once again close your outer eyes for one final prayer. And closing my eyes, I'm actually hearing a line from a Bob Sima song where he says, 1,000 cups of tea, but not like this one. And that's my experience of today's service. I've been in 1,000 Sunday services, but not like this one. I know it was a divinely inspired, beautifully executed, inspirational, and life-changing event. And I am so grateful. I'm so grateful for all of the pieces that came together to make this special day so special. I'm so grateful for the impact that I know that this service will have in the world, in our personal lives, in our communities, in our cities, in our world, all over. I know that it takes us one step closer to that world that works for everyone. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for this TCSL community that made this service the magnificent divine event that it was. So knowing this truth, knowing that with intention and clarity and sacred surrender, we go forth this week, inspired and uplifted and energized to be more our true selves. And so I turn this over to the universe that always says yes with our words, and so it is. So it is.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Heather. Thank you all for being here, for participating, whether you're at home or here at Sophie's. Have an amazing, amazing week. Oh, one last thing. The Advent calendar. Is everybody opening their Advent calendar daily? If you don't know what I'm talking about or need the link, please let me know. We have an Advent calendar that's running that you can open up a door electronically, just like all other Advent calendars that you open up a door. And it's been running now since November 30th, and it will run through the 31st of December. So please let me know, and I will get you hooked up if you haven't been getting it. And have an amazing week. I love you all madly. See you soon.